I'm Karen Bartram, Director of Client Relations. Dave Lewis, President of SnailWorks, will start us off today by guiding us through the process of planning an offer and selecting the channels to build a direct response campaign. I will then walk you through the elements needed to properly execute that campaign and show you how we built campaigns around here at SnailWorks. And then Dave will wrap us up with an overview of the campaign dashboard and provide tips for monitoring and managing campaign results. We promise to leave plenty of time at the end of the hour for questions. Your questions can be submitted throughout the webinar using the chat box at the right side of your screen. Without further delay, Dave, take us away.
Thank you, Karen, and good afternoon. Thank you for joining us for our webinar here. And my name is Dave Lewis. I am the president of SnailWorks. And today, as Karen said, we're going to be talking about multi-channel campaigns. Our first webinar really focused on mail tracking. This time we want to get into the multi-channel aspect of what we do and sort of walk through the process of what we do in creating a campaign. And then Karen will actually go through the process of creating a SnailWorks campaign with a variety of channels to kind of show the nuts and bolts of how you do it. So we're not just talking about an idea here. We'll show how to execute a campaign. So at SnailWorks, just a little bit about us. We'll get the commercial out of the way right at the start, which is we provide, and the slide says it as well as I can read it, tactical tools to make your direct mail response better by tying in online channels. And that's really our primary function, is trying to enhance direct mail, and that's really our target market is people who are using direct mail. We're trying to help them make mail better by tying in other channels. We really offer, whoops, excuse me, let me go back a second. You have to bear with me here while I learn how to work my computer. We really have two primary products that we offer. The first is mail tracking, and we do have a lot of clients who simply use us for mail tracking, and we're fine with that as well. And so with mail tracking, we use intelligent mail to follow mail, postal mail as it travels through the post office. And then what we're really focusing on today is our multi-channel services. And, you know, we have the usual list of various web-based services and multi-channel services you might have heard of pearls and QR codes. We call them curls when we personalize them here. Landing pages, email marketing. But the key to what we offer really is campaign coordination, tying all these elements together. And what we're going to do today is really focus on tying them together into a campaign that we do, and just some general guidelines and some sort of wisdom that we've gained, I think, from our clients and with our clients and working through their campaigns. So we're going to go through the campaign planning process, and I can't, if you're a direct mailer, particularly if you're in the mail service provider arena, the idea of even a direct mailing requires a campaign planning thought. If you're just doing a piece of mail, we find so many people don't think through the process of what they're doing with a marketing campaign. And so we'll start with that because we think in a multi-channel campaign is particularly important. And there's a lot of things here. If you hadn't thought about it with direct mail, you will think about it when you do multi-channel, because you sort of have to make it work. The first question may seem obvious: what are you selling? But that's not as obvious as you think, because when we say what are you selling, we're really talking about what are you trying to sell in this particular campaign and this particular direct mail piece. At SnailWorks, we sell multi-channel services, but when we send out one of our campaigns, we're not selling multi-channel services. We're selling a specific offer to try to draw people in to learn about our services. So what we're selling, in the case of the campaign we're doing that we're going to be showing you today, is a white paper that we did. It's a campaign we did back at the first part of 2014. It was a white paper that we had done on how to sell multi-channel services. So that's what we were really selling, and you want to focus that on your campaign. What does this piece really sell? It's not just my whole company, but what specifically am I trying to market? And just as important, maybe more important, is why should somebody respond? What is your offer? If I get a piece of direct mail, and I see some that may be very neat, I may look at it and like it, but if there's not some compelling reason there to get me to act, to get me to accept the offer, then it really doesn't have a whole lot of value. It's not serving a marketing purpose, and that's so that's the offer is very important. As we tell a lot of our clients, saying I'm great is not an offer. Saying I'm great and I'll give you a $20 Starbucks card is a much better offer than that. But give people a reason to respond, a selfish reason. It doesn't have to be a gift. In our case, the offer was a white paper, so it wasn't they couldn't get a cup of coffee with it, but they could learn something from it. So that was our offer. And then also, how does someone respond? And again, a very important point, which is, okay, I like what you're doing. How do I respond? And I have seen pieces that were very nicely done. They may even have a QR code on them somewhere that goes to their website. When I say, yeah, I want to find out about this service, I have to dig around to find, oh, okay, well, I can send an email to info at this address or something. It's not, so they got my attention, they showed me something I liked, then they made it hard to respond. So how did they respond? You need to think that through as you plan your campaign. To whom are you selling? To put it in my snooty talk, but who's your market? Obviously, you need to think about that. I think that's pretty much common sense in direct marketing. But tailor your offer to the people that you're selling to, and then also figure out what is the best way to reach them. Some people do like direct mail. Fortunately, we think a lot of people like direct mail. It kind of keeps us in business. But some people do prefer email. They want to be reached by email. They either don't look at their direct mail, or if they just don't respond well to messages that way. And you kind of have to look at who your audience is to decide what works best. Again, we generally believe, obviously, the principle behind our business is to offer a lot of different ways to reach somebody, so that you can try to find that correct way. So everybody's got some way they like to be reached. So if you hit enough channels, hopefully you will find a way to reach them. So that's that's sort of what you need to think through as you plan a campaign, is what are you selling, why should someone buy it, and how are you going to reach them, and how are they going to respond when you do. So for the campaign we're looking at today, and that Karen will kind of be walking through when she shows you how a campaign is created, this is what we were selling. It was well, we call it a white paper. Looking at it now, it's not really white; it's kind of black. But it was I think ebook is the vernacular these days. We don't do white papers; we do ebooks here. But it was a white paper, and but this was our draw to get people in. And we had a lot of our clients ask us about how do you sell multi-channel. So we wrote a white paper about it, and then we marketed it. The first thing we did for marketing it was this is our traditional direct mail. We did a postcard, digitally printed postcard. This is the front and back, but actually this is an early draft. I noticed this has a landing page name we didn't end up using, but it was and then we had the QR code, and we'll go into how in some of those response channels as we talk about it more. So this was sort of our traditional offer. The offer was, come get a white paper about multi-channel. And that was what we were selling. That was the offer. Now, do we make a living selling white papers? Not a very good one, because we give them away for free. But hopefully, by people reading our white papers and thinking, maybe we're smart, maybe we have something of value to teach them, they'll become our customers, and they'll end up looking at and hopefully using our services. So we're selling a white paper, or giving one away actually in the offer. But really, our objective was, in fact, it might be our secret objective with this webinar today, is to get people to look into our services a little bit more and look at what we do. And I edited this slide a lot of times as we were preparing this presentation today on the pieces of a campaign. And originally I had a really nice bulleted list of pearls and curls and emails and texts and phone telemarketing and all the things that go into a campaign. But in thinking about it, I don't really think that's necessarily the best way to think about it. All those channels may come into play, but really to us, a campaign lives around the landing page, and that's where we're going to spend a lot of time today talking about landing pages. That is a specific web page that is specific to your offer, so that when someone responds to your offer, that's kind of the offer, and the call to action is to get people to your landing page. And then, so the landing page is sort of the heart of the campaign, and then efforts are the different ways we try to get people to come to a landing page. And that's where you get into the bullet point of all the different methods you can use to get people into a landing page. So let's talk about the landing page a little bit. Again, this is where response lives, and that's the landing page. I can't say enough about how important it is. It's not your home page. Please, please, please. Rarely do you want to send your prospects to your home page, even though it's really probably nice and a great look. We have a great home page. We'll be looking at it later on, and it's got marketing stuff on it and all that. But if we have a specific offer, it's not going to be the best place to send people. When you think of a landing page, really think of it, and this is especially if you live in the direct mail world, we really encourage people to think about a landing page as the reply form that's in their direct mail package, and it shares a lot of the characteristics. Hey, when someone, if you have a reply form in your package, and you're saying to send this in to get your book or to register or to join or whatever it may be you're selling, that's a thing they fill in and send out. If you're doing fundraising or things like that, you're probably personalizing those. You're probably using different ask amounts and maybe different offers for different campaigns, and you can do the same thing on a landing page. They can be personalized. If people are using pearls to get there, then if they gave $1,000 last time, you can ask them for $1,000 again. If they gave $10 last time, maybe ask them for 12 this time, but probably asking them for 1,000 wouldn't be effective. So you can treat a landing page just like you would a laser personalized page in a direct mail piece. Make sure your offer is clearly stated, along with a clear call to action. Again, that's on the landing page. So you have an offer to get them to the landing page. Once they're there, don't make them look for it. Don't make it, again, if someone has to hunt for the offer, then they're much less likely to act. So make it very easy, make it very obvious when they get to the landing page. For the campaign, for the white paper campaign, this was the landing page that we had used. And it's actually, looking at it in hindsight, it's probably a little bit busy. But I like words. I like typing a lot of stuff. So we probably put more on here than we needed to. But still, I think we made it was a very successful campaign for us. And I think we made the offer very clear, which is we had told people to go get this white paper, and if they went here, they saw this button here pretty clearly to download it. Now, we did put additional information on here to just tell them more about the company. If someone was interested, they could look at that, but they didn't have to. They could click on that. One of the nice features we had on this, and we use this a lot at SnailWorks, is when someone clicked on the download button. In this case, if I had clicked on the download button, we'd get a splash page to pop up. And a splash page is the term we use for this sort of small web page. Now, since I had gone to this using my Perl, the landing page knew who I was, and so it could pre-populate my form. I didn't have to type anything in. I could, and that's one of the nice things too about this, is this is an opportunity to capture some additional data. So if I don't know if they didn't have my phone number, we can get it here. Be careful on these forms. One of the things we encourage is don't require too much information. You can ask for anything, but don't require much. The only thing that we usually require on most campaigns is we require a name and we require an email address. The rest of this stuff, if they fill it in, great. If they don't, oh, my title's Head Snail. I didn't know that. But that's anyway. So this is a landing page and the splash page that was effective for us. It was simple. One of the nice things is if after someone clicks this on the splash page, they can close it and go back to our landing page and read all about us. In this case, since we put such a volume of stuff about us. So in creating a landing page, some things to keep in mind, and Karen will kind of go into the mechanics of actually doing it, but the things you have to do in creating a landing page is you have to choose an URL. And we really do encourage people to use, to be imaginative and try to create an original URL for each campaign they do. An URL is a uniform resource locator, a web address essentially. Again, our web address is snailworks.com, which is, again, and I encourage everybody to go to that web page every day, but that notwithstanding, that's not where our offer is. So the offer, some web pages we've used, yourprofits.com, snailselling.com, we had hailthesnail.com, all things that we tried to make memorable to our market that we think speak to what they did. I'll show you in a second, I'll show you one of my favorite URLs that was memorable, but I always say make it something billboard worthy for your customers. Now, we had one customer who theirs was, if I remember right, FNW 2013, which, to you and me, it may not sound billboard worthy, but for the people who are going to Food Nutrition Week 2013, they knew that conference. It had meaning to them. Again, place the offer front and center. I know I'm talking about offers a lot today, but I just can't overstate how important it is to have a clear offer. Very, very important point. Make whatever you do these days, and do not underestimate the importance of this. Make your landing pages mobile friendly. If your landing page is not easy to read on a mobile device, if it's not easy to respond to, that will be a problem for you. And you can see, that I know in our landing page designs, responsive is the term that's used now. We use responsive design that adapts to different types of platforms. Because even in mobile now, you've got these giant new iPhone 6Ls or whatever they are. Then you have tablets. You have a lot of even the mobile world is kind of fragmented. So we encourage responsive design, but don't think people don't look at your offers on mobile devices. I guarantee you they do, particularly on mobile phones. A lot of people live on those. Make it easy to respond to your offer. Sounds obvious, but very important. Again, that's with a clear landing page. Again, on mobile, it's particularly important to make it easy to respond. I tell the story all the time about wanting to get getting an offer from the Washington Redskins to get an I Hate Dallas T-shirt. Which, apologies to people in Texas, but in Washington, that's a desirable shirt. But when I went to the landing page, they had all their jerseys and everything else on my tiny little phone. I couldn't identify what it was. So make it very simple to respond. If they're responding to a web link or to a Perl, have it pre-populated so they don't have to type that in. And what happens when they respond? You need to think this much through, too. You saw when they responded to ours, they got a splash page. That when they submitted that, it thanked them. It said they could click here to download the white paper. We also sent them an email. You need to think through all those processes. That's a difference with a multi-channel campaign, is you always have to be thinking of what the next step is. What's the next thing that's going to be done? And a subtle but important point to us is you don't need, in fact, we encourage people not to host landing pages themselves. Let a provider do it for them. Whoever's managing the multi-channel, if it's SnailWorks, good for you, and we love that. And we prefer hosting the pages ourselves, not because we get any glory from it, but it's just if you hand it off and through, we always found responses are better if we're managing the hosting of the page, so we can measure responses and things like that. I talk about billboard-worthy responses or billboard-worthy URLs. This is one I saw driving in Florida. I'll apologize in advance for anyone who doesn't like this, but it's not a nice message. When the webinar is over, and not before, when the webinar is over, go to killthisdog.com. It's a wonderful website. It's not as mean as it seems. It's actually for a kill prevention program in Broward County, Florida. But what a great URL. When I got to my hotel, I had to, as soon as I had my computer out, the first thing I had to do was see what that was about, and it was a very effective campaign. Talk a little bit about choosing channels for a campaign. Some are obvious. I won't talk a lot about them. Direct mail. I'm guessing most of the people on this webinar are direct mailers. So I'm not going to tell you about that. Again, all the rules we had about offers and things like that, keep that prominent. Email marketing. Again, that's another channel which you should, especially B2B, we highly recommend it. It's almost always effective. Usually if we take direct mail and follow it with an email blast, it virtually always improves the response of the direct mail. I can think of very few cases where it didn't. A couple of different methods I'll mention on email marketing. One is a blast. That's what we did to get you to this webinar today, which is we did not have a direct mail piece. We just used email marketing for it and a little bit of social. And so we had a list, and we sent an email out to everybody at once, and we did that multiple times. And I'll kind of show you the emails. One of the emails was an HTML, was a nice, pretty one. Two of them were text emails, and those were our most effective. And I'll kind of show you that when we go on, because I always like showing our email tricks. I think they, people seem to like them, and we have a lot of experience. We know what kind of works there. The other kind of email is a triggered email, and Karen will be talking about that some too, and she shows you the mechanics of putting a campaign together, which is if you're doing a piece of direct mail, and if you're tracking it, which is what you can do with SnailWorks, when the mail gets delivered, you can use that to trigger an email supporting that. So saying, hey, you like this thing we advertised to you, here's an easy way to respond, click on this link and you can get whatever it was, in this case the white paper that we had. And again, we got some response off the direct mail piece, a lot more off the follow-up email, and it got triggered piece by piece as the mail was being delivered, essentially. Each day we could send an email to the people who had gotten the piece the day before. Social media is talked about a lot these days, and again, we're going to show you how you can tie it into a SnailWorks campaign. We think it has value in the right circumstances. It depends on what you're marketing. B2B, sometimes it's a little bit tougher, although there are some wonderfully effective YouTubes out there. I think YouTube is kind of the forgotten social channel, but don't forget it. It's a very important one. I know a lot of people are in the direct marketing world who are attending today, and fold of the week is a viral video right now that a woman does who's a very good speaker, Trish Winkowski, I think it is. And she's got a lot of energy. She does great videos, and every week she has a video about a mail piece. I can't imagine anything more boring, but it's not boring when she does it. And she's got thousands of followers. So social media can work in unexpected ways. Don't forget YouTube as a social channel. And again, the most important thing here is always link everything back to your landing page. That's where people need to come to respond. If it's about your offer, bring people back to your landing page. That's where they respond. And again, I'm going to show you how to do that after Karen does her bit. I'll show you how easy it is to link people back to your landing page and how important it is. And then there's other channels. There's a million other channels. There's text. There's print ads. Obviously, billboards. I showed you a billboard. So any channel is valid. Just make sure, and the Kill This Dog people, you got to give them credit. They linked it back to their landing page. So again, all the channels, again, keep your offer prominent. We think in a campaign, we try to keep a common branding look to all the elements. So if we do a banner ad, if we do well, text you can't really format but so much, but if we do print ads, and I guess if we did billboards, SnailWorks has not done a billboard yet, but you never know. But we would try to keep that branding look to those. I think a snail would look good on a billboard, but probably not a good use of our funds. So I want to show a little bit, just to kind of, because usually people are interested in how we put these things together. So for today's webinar, we had 3 email efforts that we sent out, which I'll show you here. This was the first one we sent out on January 5th. Which was, and we had changed the date, but rather that we decided to take advantage of that and make it a little more personal. So we call this style of email a VIP email. It was from me, and it was personalized. This says, "Hi, Dave," because this was sent to me also. But it was just a little note saying, "Hey, just letting you know before we start our real marketing that to give you a special chance to log in and to sign up." Got a lot of response off of this. A couple days later, we did our legitimate email, if you will, which is HTML. It's got our snail with the junk on its back. It's got our social links. So this was I think it was a nice email. We got good response to it. And then finally, the rock star of our efforts was the last one, which we did, called just checking on Thursday. Again, another VIP style email, and it was just a note from me saying, just wanted to make sure I didn't see you had signed up. Wanted to make sure you were coming. Wonderful response. to this, use VIP emails sparingly, because sometimes people feel like you're being sneaky or something. We certainly don't intend to be, but you don't want. At some point, people are going to stop reading any email you send them if you send too many marketing emails that look like notes. So do keep that in mind. But it is effective. Don't feel like you have to have a fancy picture on every email you send out to make it effective marketing. And then some tweets. I guess you've seen tweets before about the white paper we had in this case, and there was one that Karen Bartram did on the webinar today. I'm not sure if we've got any takers on that or not, but we'll show you how we execute that through SnailWorks as well. And finally, what Karen's going to walk through today was the efforts. This is really focused around one campaign we did that was marketing that ebook / white paper we did. So the efforts we had on that, and it was an effective campaign, was we did a pre-mailing VIP email blast, and my old little VIP trick, little personal note for me, a direct mail package, that postcard I showed you. We did a triggered follow-up email a day after the mail got delivered. Maybe it was 2. I don't know. Karen will know that when she goes through it. We did a second follow-up email that was done a few days later. We did a LinkedIn post. We did a Twitter tweet, if that's correct terminology. So these were all, and when you see how easy it is to put this together working with us, it's a lot of pieces to a campaign. It's easy if you work with someone like us who knows what they're doing. If not, there's a lot of pieces, a lot of balls you can drop along the way. So that said, I'm going to go ahead. We'll try to make a graceful switch over here to let Karen take the driver's seat here and talk to you about how these campaigns get put together. Karen,
thank you, Dave. Well, now that you've crafted a campaign and you have an offer and a call to action, it's time to start putting that campaign together. And I'm struggling here with the PowerPoint. I promise the rest of the slides aren't as overwhelming as this one. But once you really have settled on what your campaign, what efforts are going to be involved, and what you're going to be doing, it's time to start pulling the elements or the assets of your campaign together. I'm going to begin with the data files. You want to start gathering your mailing lists, and not just gathering them, but really evaluating them. Look at the fields of data that are available to you. If you're planning to include email as part of your campaign, you certainly want to make sure that some of the names on your list have email addresses. Then evaluate the rest of your fields. And just like what Dave said, if you're introducing digital elements to your direct response campaign, think of it very much like a laser letter or a variable print job. And any way you want to customize your message to make the message more personal to the recipient, you need to have data to support that. So in the example Dave gave you, if you're doing a fundraising piece, likely you're going to want to include a customized ask. And just like in your letter, you would base the ask string based on a donor's previous giving history, you would do the same thing with your landing page. If you're doing a membership campaign, you're doing renewals, you're certainly going to want to know when your members' expire dates are, and perhaps include that on your landing page. Hey, member, your membership's about to expire on March 1st. Renew now. And we can just pull that data in for you. If you're doing any kind of a customized offer, I know a lot of professional membership organizations, they have different levels of membership. And to your student members, you want to highlight the benefits of a student membership. Maybe your associate members, highlight what the benefits to an associate membership is. In order to do that, you need to have a field in your data that tells you what level of membership that they have. I think you're getting the idea now. Anything that will help you craft a message that is more pertinent to that particular recipient will enhance the likelihood that they're going to respond, and you need to have data to support that. We have done campaigns where the landing page, the copy on the landing page changes up based on the person's gender. Maybe if it's a female, it shows a female in the picture, and the guys get one with a picture of a person. We've based copy and landing page graphics based on the age of the recipient, just all sorts of things. If you're an organization with sales territories, you may want to have something in there about their sales rep, and you just need to have a field for that. It's all very doable. Once you're done looking at all of this, it's a good opportunity to take stock on what kind of data are you missing. Maybe you have email addresses for only half of your file. That doesn't mean you can't do email to the half that you do have addresses for, but your landing page might be a good place to start filling in that data. Ask for their email addresses, or ask for their age, or whatever, phone numbers. Really a great way to start filling in phone numbers for your members, customers, and prospects. Once you have all your data files together, you're going to process the data just like what you would for a traditional direct mail package. You're going to do your merge purge, all your list hygiene, NCOA, postal pre-sort, do your selects to create your packages. The very last thing you're going to want to do is send your data to SnailWorks. And at that point, we're going to build IMB tracing code so that we can track to see when your mail's delivered. We'll start building your QR codes and your pearls, and then you're ready to go into production. Now, at the same time, we have to start building some of these digital assets for you. So you're going to need to start pulling together graphics, copy, and some sort of a design layout for your emails and your landing pages. I usually suggest that whoever does the design of your direct mail package is going to be the most qualified to do the design of these digital elements. They don't need to be programmed, and they really shouldn't be programmed in HTML. That's what you want someone like SnailWorks to do. Just take the design, take the original graphics, provide those to your multi-channel provider, and then we'll build the HTML. As Dave mentioned, here at SnailWorks we use responsive design, so when we design any digital element, it's going to render properly on tablets, cell phones, web systems, and it's just better to let the HTML be designed by somebody doing the multi-channel work. There's a few other blanks still to fill in. You certainly don't want to forget to say thank you to people who do respond to your offer. Typically, we see that you're going to want to provide a thank you email as well as a thank you splash. A thank you splash is simply once somebody clicks that submit button, they get a screen message that says, thank you, your order was successful. Followed up by an email sent, we received your order, your membership is being processed, or whatever important information you want to convey to your new member, new donor, new customer. Thank you emails and thank you splashes are really terrific places for adding additional links back to your home page or other digital elements perhaps that you're hosting on your own that you think people would be interested in. We really do caution that you want to keep your landing page as clean and straightforward as possible. And I know the one Dave showed you, he was concerned that it was a little bit busy. It was busy with a lot of copy that was pertinent to the offer that was being made, but you'll notice that there weren't any extra links. We didn't tempt people to travel away from the place to respond. The only link there was a submit link, was an opportunity to order the white paper. We don't want to distract people from responding. And then lead distributions. Once somebody actually does respond, you're going to want to notify someone or someones within your organization. Provide us with a list of those email addresses and what information should be included for each response, and we'll be sure to pass that along to those individuals. And just kind of a couple of final thoughts before we jump in and take a look at a campaign. I want to stress that here at SnailWorks, and I'm really focused on how we do it here. At SnailWorks, you have a project manager who's going to manage your project from beginning to end. Your part of the job is to figure out what you want to convey, to what's your offer, what's your call to action. Our part of the job is to put those pieces together and to accomplish those things. So we're going to take your mailing list, we're going to do all the coding to put mail tracking codes, to build the pearls, to build the personalized QR codes. We'll do all the coding on your web pages, your emails, and we're going to set up your campaign. And that's what I'm going to get ready to do now. So give me just a second here as we travel away from the PowerPoint presentation and hop onto our website. And so this is SnailWorks website, and you just log in. And hopefully I haven't been kicked out of my own website. There we go. And so here's a listing of all of the jobs that we've done for ourselves. And I'm going to take you into the How to Sell ebook. And it was an ebook, not a white paper campaign. And this is just the opening screen of what a campaign looks like. And you'll see at the top part of the pad there, we've got just the general campaign information, the name of the campaign, who the client was. We were our own client this time. The campaign start date and campaign end date, let me just explain those real briefly. To us, the beginning of a campaign is when you float out that first channel, that first call to action. It might be a leading email, which as a matter of fact I'll show you in a minute. In this case, our first channel was an email blast. So the day that we sent that blast was my start date, which happened to be September 10th. Then the campaign end date is when you're going to stop taking orders for that particular campaign. And in this case, it was on December 31st. And then we have the contact person for the campaign, how to get in touch with them, an approximate count. Then down in the bottom part is where you select what marketing channels you're going to use. And you can see we used direct mail, we used email, and we did social. And then what were the response channels that we were going to leverage. And the response channels that our primary response channels were QR codes, pearls, and landing pages. That's how people got back to us and ordered our white paper or our ebook. And I'm going to click on the Efforts tab, and you'll be able to see here all of the efforts that are listed for this particular campaign. So we had a direct mail postcard, we had a pre-mailing VIP email blast, we had a LinkedIn post, we had a triggered email, and we had a second follow-up email, and then we also leveraged Twitter for this campaign. I'm going to click on, show you for direct mail. When you drill down, there's a place to put a little bit more information about the channel. So we knew that our mail date was going to be on September 30th, and we know what our approximate count was. We also include here the class of mail and the size of the mail piece, because since we are tracking the mail, these are important elements that we need here at SnailWorks to properly build that barcode with the right data. We also included pearls and QR codes in the direct mail piece. And you might be I'd like to show you a triggered email. So this is when you drill down into the email tabs. If we were blasting, and I actually selected the triggered email, your blast date would be there. But this was a triggered effort that I selected, and we went ahead and we sent the email out one day after the direct mail piece was received. Excuse me. And we defined what the subject line was going to be, who the email was going to be from, and then there's some fields down below that allows us to track when an email has been approved and the status for releasing it. Now, had this been an email blast, we would have just plugged the email date, blast date up at the top. And I just want to elaborate real quickly on the triggering. Since we track the mail, we're sending out emails over a period of time where you're literally sending out the emails that just pertain to the pieces of mail that have been delivered. So if the West Coast haven't been delivered yet, you don't want to be sending the emails yet. And so just very quickly, that's what a campaign looks like. Again, I want to stress that here at SnailWorks, your project manager is managing all of this, and it does seem like a whole lot of things to keep track of, but we work with you on that, and we've got some tools that can also assist you that we will be more than glad to share with you. So now I think Dave's ready to tell us a little bit more about the results.
Okay, thank you, Karen. And this is a couple of things I want to stress from what Karen was discussing is those order forms you see that she was walking through. If they look intimidating, first of all, they're not. They're really very simple when you dig into it. There's nothing that takes any IT skills. It really just kind of forces you to think about your project and how you're going to do it. And also, very seldom do we have clients actually fill those forms in. Instead, usually they work through those with the project manager to do that. So those are kind of a guideline, and the purpose of all those is to make sure you don't leave anything out in the process. Now, what we're looking at here, this is the results for that campaign that Karen was just putting together. This is the dashboard that shows the different kinds of efforts that we had and what worked for those. And you can see we did about just under 8,000 pieces of direct mail and about 6,000 emails on that. And again, I'm not going to spend a lot of time looking at the dashboard in our last presentation. We went through that or in our last webinar. And obviously, if anyone's interested in this, please contact us because we love digging deep into these. But what I really wanted to show on the dashboard is how to use this information to continue your campaign. One of the nice things about a multi-channel campaign, with direct mail, you send out the mailing, then you wait for a response, and you say, that was good, that was bad, that was whatever it was, but it's done. With multi-channel, it's never done. We keep going on forever. But that's an exaggeration. But you do have options to continue if you have something that's working well for you to keep the campaign alive and to keep it fresh. So to look at a campaign like this, as I said, and actually, if we wanted to do another mailing, if we say, well, this ebook is still hot, we want to market it some more, we want to keep this campaign alive, we need some more leads, whatever that may be. We have some nice tools here. We could go to the landing page hits. Landing pages or hits are people who came to our landing page and maybe they did, maybe they didn't respond. So we can exclude the people that did respond who did take the white paper or the ebook, excuse me, and download these as a spreadsheet. And I think if I remember right, there was actually about 150 who actually did, because some of these, if they came into the general URL or came from a social page, we may not know who they were. But we had about 150 who we did know who they were, and we pulled those down for subsequent marketing. The other resource we have is say, okay, well, I don't want to send out 8,000 pieces. I can take the people who open the email. I can assume, okay, well, they probably had a higher than average interest level. Again, as easy as clicking on this link and downloading it into Excel and merge purging at your end, or folding in some other lists you may have, and you've got it, and you've got your next wave put together, whether you want to email them or whatever you may want to do. The other thing that I promised was talk about how to tie in social media a little bit, and sort of one of the things we need to make it more prominent on here. It's kind of one of our little hidden icons up at the top here, but this is my favorite. This is called a snaily. So it's a little, looks like a little snail up there, cleverly enough. And so, you can do this. This is a self-service thing. You don't need a project manager to do these. If you want to decide, hey, let's do a YouTube video about someone dumping water over their head, I hear that's effective. So you have a YouTube video of that. So you call it I don't know what it is, water dumping, various water dumping video, and you're gonna have a tweet to that. But again, remember, you want them to come back to your landing page. So you can select that, or you can select another URL too. If you want to go read an article, or you want to send them to a video link, or whatever that may, you can select that. But we're gonna have them come to the landing page. We're going to tweet about it, and presumably we have this video on our landing page. Probably not a great example, but let's just, in fact, I'm going to change that. I'm not going to call it a video. I'm going to call this one tweet from webinar. So that way I know what effort it was. I had them linked there, and then I click Generate Links. It generates a shortened URL, and what you can do is you can copy this and paste this into your tweet. You can put this on your billboard. You can put this in a banner ad. You can take these all over the place, and it leads back to your landing page. But more importantly, it's trackable. If someone clicks on this link, we know that they were there. We know what they were looking at. So this may be one, and you can actually tweet right from here. I don't think it shows up on your screen as I do that, but you could actually, if you click on that, another window pulls up, so you could tweet right from here without having to go to Twitter and do that. You can do the same thing with a Facebook post, with a LinkedIn post. And really anything else you can generate. You can generate one of these snailies, a shortened URL, for anything that you do. It's a very effective way to tie social media in. A lot of organizations these days want social media, and they're not sure if it's effective or not. This is a good way to measure it. See, we've seen some nonprofits that have events surrounding a campaign they're doing. They're having a picnic or something, and they're tweeting about it, and they're having people go to picnic sites across the country. And they use this by creating this, being able to measure those on the landing page. Again, we didn't do much tweeting. We actually did very little social on this campaign, so we had a few hits. And again, it's difficult to show details, but we can see how many people came from LinkedIn, how many came from Facebook, Google+, these different channels. We can measure that. And if they do come in and fill in the landing page, we can capture that detail to them, find out who came from where. So there's a lot of power in the social media piece too, and you can see it's just very, very easy to do. And I guess sort of our focus on what we're looking at here is that there's a lot of pieces to a multi-channel campaign. There's a lot of thinking you have to do. It's not as simple as putting a great ad on a piece of mail. It's tying in a campaign and thinking it together. But you don't have to be a marketing genius. You just have to understand your product and your value proposition and think through it. So that said, and that's really sort of our focus today in how to create a multi-channel campaign. There's really just two steps. One, think, and two, call SnailWorks, and we can help you out with it. So at this point, we're going to go ahead, and we've got a couple of questions that came in, and we'll go through those. I think we have enough time to get through them. If you do have any questions on anything we've covered today, or even stuff we haven't covered today, meaning of life, cost of a lawnmower, or whatever you need, feel free to, they're making faces here about cost of a lawnmower. I don't know why, but but feel free to go ahead and type it into the chat section here. We'll try to go through it. One of the questions, the first question I did get was, who builds the landing pages? A good question, and generally it can be built by anybody. For most of our clients, we are building the landing pages for them, and we do it at a couple of different levels. We have some clients who have their artists, usually the artist who designed the mail piece will completely design the landing page. except they won't do the HTML coding. They'll send us an InDesign file. We'll take that, we'll add the HTML coding, and then use that to create the landing page and host it. So that's the process of how we create a landing page. So usually we build it. We do have some clients who build their own and they send us the HTML. It's almost always we have to edit it to make it work within our system. So we prefer to do the HTML here. It's not an expensive process and we're good at it. Second question, again around landing pages, who hosts and where do you purchase a landing page? Again, as far as you don't really purchase a landing page per se, you purchase a domain. For example, you know, hailthesnail.com. When we wanted to do that, we went to register.com or GoDaddy, any of the domain registration sites that are out there, and will, you know, it can cost depending on if you need it secured or not, anywhere from $10 to $250. For a secure site with a security certificate, and if you want something really exotic, you can get very, very expensive. But usually it's inexpensive to do on your own, or more often than not, we'll just go ahead and acquire that for you, and we have standard costs for acquiring URLs for you. So then you own the domain. We'll register it to you. Or to us, depending on which is applicable for the project. And so and then we'll build the landing page by the process I just described. It's a coding process here. So the short answer is, where do you purchase a landing page? From SnailWorks. Just give us a call and we'll get one for you. Hang on a second, because Karen's rolling her eyes at me, so I think she's got probably a smarter answer than me. Hang on one second. She will answer.
It could go either way. Certainly we have a number of our clients who have us purchase domains on their behalf, and we are delighted to do that. We go to GoDaddy and take care of it. But quite often some of my clients will have extra domains lying around. They went out and they bought, you know, the widgetcompany.com, widgetcompany.net, widgetcompany RS or whatever. But they're not hosting their home page on it. They're just keeping them from someone else, or just keeping them for special promotions. I can easily provide instructions for pointing that domain to the SnailWorks servers. We'll have to host it. You can continue owning the domain, but we would have to host it on your behalf. And the reason we need to host your domains is because of the reporting. If you're hosting it, you're getting all of the statistics, and I can't drive that into our dashboard, which I know we didn't take a whole lot of time looking at dashboard results today, but any of us would be delighted to show you more about that.
Okay, thank you, Karen. Next question I had was, can I do a campaign without email? That's a really good question. You can do a campaign without anything almost, except for a landing page. You've got to have a place for people to go. So if you don't want to, and a lot of our clients don't have email addresses for a list, they just have mailing addresses. We don't advise buying email addresses. Our experience has not been great with that. So if you want to just do direct mail, we have campaigns where we just do banner ads where there's no email and no direct mail. We've done social-only campaigns. So there's all kinds of different campaigns that you can do. No single element is required except a landing page. You really have to have a landing page, or there's no place for people to go. It's not direct response anymore.
Matter of fact, when we do email campaigns, typically our clients have email addresses for only a portion of their list. So, and that's fine. You can go ahead and do the mailing out to your 10,000 members and give them pearls. They can come to landing pages, respond, and all of that. But for the 3,000 members that you do have an email address, we can trigger an email reminder. We can leave the campaign out with a pre-mailing, you know, keep your eyes on your mailbox for this is coming. You know, it doesn't have to be an all or nothing proposition.
Okay, thank you, Karen. And then one last question I have for today is, let me see, I have a great website, why do I need a landing page? And that's, again, a good question. and it depends. You don't necessarily need a landing page, but in almost all campaigns, we strongly recommend it. Web pages tend to be general. They have a lot of distractions. They're not just about the offer. So in most cases, with a direct marketing campaign, there is an offer there that attracted people. You want them to be able to get right to that. Even though your web page may be great, you want this web page to be very specific about the offer, as opposed to being a more general web page. So yeah, and this does not mean I think Snailworks has an excellent web page. Snailworks.com. Check it out by all means, and it's got some good marketing information. But when we have specific offers, that can be an issue. And it looks like okay. And a couple more questions, and I'm going to let Karen answer these. I'm going to talk for a minute about our next webinar. And so, hang on one sec. Here comes Karen.
Okay, a participant has just asked, how much lead time do I need for creating of a landing page? And you're not going to like my answer. It depends on a number of elements. We don't need a ton of time. Once we receive your copy, your design, my guys can usually knock a landing page out in a couple of days. If it's super complicated, if you've got a lot of links and a lot of extra things to it, we might need just a little bit more time. But if it's fairly simple and our workload isn't particularly heavy, we've certainly turned them around quicker than that. All of the account reps here are will always be upfront with you about how much time you need to allow. Really, it just all depends. The second question being asked is, are there limitations on the mail quantity? And if I'm understanding this question correctly, the answer really is no. We certainly do track very small mailings and very large ones. With small campaigns, it may come down to how much money you're willing to invest, because certainly to build a landing page for 10 records costs the same as building a landing page for 10 million. But from a logistical standpoint, certainly no problem. Dave's just handed me another question. It must be a hard one. After the person fills in the landing page and hits submit, can it take them to our website? It certainly can. The most elegant way of doing that would likely be through a splash page that would come up saying, hey, we received your submission. And here's our website. You could link them on over that way. But we absolutely do all sorts of custom linking and those sorts of things. And I'm just looking. It doesn't look like we have any more questions, Dave. You want to go ahead and close this out?
Thanks, Karen. Yeah, and those good questions. Thanks to everyone. And thank you for attending today. Our next webinar is going to be February 5th. And we're going to nerd out on you a little bit in that one and go into advanced mail tracking and ACS. This is really, if you're in direct mail at all, it's going to be a great session, particularly ACS. That's a very hot topic with our clients right now, address change service, and we'll go into that and we'll really get into some of the advanced reporting you can do with mail tracking. So just amazing things you can do with mail tracking that most people are afraid to even ask for, but we will be digging into that in our next webinar. Don't worry, you'll get a personal note from me probably at some point. As far as the session today, we have recorded it. We also recorded the first one, and so in the next few days we will be posting those, and we'll be sending out notices to everybody who attended, and probably all your relatives too, telling them where they can go watch this as well. So again, thank you very much for joining us today.